What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PHDJ podcast. My name is Mike.
Yes, indeed. It's Joseph Bunn.
Joseph. I love when you're, every once in a while, you're so formal to be.
My God.
How are you, Joseph?
My government name. My government.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good morning.
Good. Good morning. We are pre-recording this one by a week. This is the week when I will be at the wedding MBA.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, this will drop Thursday, so I'll be taking the red eye home and back to work. So, yeah, I'll promote this. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the red eye, but it just saves you that one. It gets you back on. So it's kind of a love-hate thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. But when this drops, that will be in the past tense, which always confuses me. It's like those Back to the Future movies. I get confused by those.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say this. I heard you killed, Mike.
Oh, good. I like that. I like that past tense thing. So I want to talk about wedding traditions today and how much they've changed. But first, have you seen the video of our guy, Dan Famosa, basically sliding and saving the microphone? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it before you even sent it to me. And I don't know why. I think I just saw it and then it kind of went in my brain and one side of the brain and out the other, and I didn't reach out to you, but yes, I saw it and it's the best thing on the internet.
Well, here's one of the reasons why you've seen it. It currently has over 215,000 views.
Stop. I watched it 5 myself.
And well, I don't know if Facebook counts that. I don't know whether Facebook counts like one. Yeah, some of these things, like I know on SoundCloud, if you listen to the same track over and over, it only counts as one.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but either way, I checked, and this was a couple days ago.
Where, on YouTube?
On Facebook.
On
Facebook. Because basically what happened was he was doing a wedding for a client, and it was a client that sent him this clip. And so any of our viewers who haven't seen it, if you want to seek out Dan Fumosa, Fumosa, he works for Elite Entertainment. He's doing a wedding, best man, and we've all been in this scenario. Best man basically finishes the toast and puts the microphone on the table. It then starts rolling off the table. And Dan, like a superhero,
it's unreal,
running into the screen, slides and catches it as it drops off the table.
No, it's off the table.
It's off the table.
Yeah.
And then, but before it hits the floor.
Yes.
And what you don't see in the video, and Dan told me, he slides to catch it. He ended that slide inches away from taking out the cake table. So, right. I mean, it would have been, and I don't think the video would have picked that up, but you probably would have heard the whole room, because if he had then slid into the cake table, it would have turned him from hero into goat. And it would have been a completely different video. But yeah, man, my hat's off to Dan. He told me he's getting blown up with friend requests. It's been shared so many different times. And like I said, over 215,000 views. So
I'm telling you, Mike, though, it's one clever caption away and somebody influential reposting it with a different type of meme caption. So not, superstar DJ catches, falling mic. It's got to be like sliding into Monday, or, much better than that. But
something like that. Right.
It's got to be more, less DJ and more the world.
And that's the only thing. I don't know if the world would, like, every DJ's heart stops when they see a mic, but I don't know if the world relates to that. You know what I mean? Does the world relate to a microphone rolling off a table and what will happen?
But even now, like, people are like if you substituted something people love to eat or something, like, people will literally take these videos, edit out the microphone and put a freaking cupcake up there. It's one
I'm not
personal
letting that
way.
slice of pizza drop or
Right.
something like that. Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
telling
That's
you, man,
good. Yeah.
it's one person away from doing a proper
Right.
edit and meme, and that thing being the biggest thing of October.
Well, I was so proud of
I love
Dan,
it.
and I thought it was so awesome.
It
And if
is.
you haven't had a chance to see the video, go seek it out and check it out. It's only a couple seconds long.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
So, Mike, as
watch it over.
a person in our late 40s, early 50s, would you ever pull that maneuver?
I don't think I would slide. I mean, I think I would take a couple of fast steps
Right.
to get it.
I don't think I would have caught it, though.
But I don't think I would have caught it either. And, you know, I probably think too much. It's a reason why I sold my motorcycle years ago.
Yeah.
I think too much about the worst case scenario.
Same.
If I blow my Achilles out trying,
Same.
you know, a 500-hour mic, first of all, let's face it, the mic probably wouldn't have been ruined.
Right.
The worst thing, it probably would have been dented, but the worst thing would have been the sound because the microphone was still on, the boom, 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 hitting the floor would have been, you know, a bad moment. But yeah, I don't know that. I think my reactions are that quick, but in the same vein, I would have went, nah, it's not worth it.
Yeah. That's why I don't ski anymore. I'm just like,
right. But Dan is, I don't know, probably 20 years younger. The Dan, by the way, just got married back in May. So kudos to him. He's had some year. He's a newlywed and now an internet sensation.
Yes.
Yeah. Kudos.
Shout out Dan.
Yeah.
All right. Go find the video, by the way.
So my main topic today comes from a post that Mike Fernino put up on DJ Idea Sharing.
Yep.
I guess about a month ago. And I have a feeling that and I love Mike. I think he's a great guy. I have a feeling he was a little frustrated when he put this post up.
Yeah.
He basically wrote, "My wedding Saturday, the millennial standard." He put that in quotes: reception in a barn, bistro lights, no cake cutting, cornhole games outside, grand entrance with only first names, no Garter and bouquet. Is this the new standard? Joe Bunn, is that, or Joseph Bunn, as you led the podcast, is that the new standard today?
Oh man, I don't think it's the new standard, but I do think it is more common than in yesteryear. You know, one, being in the South, obviously there are tons of barn weddings. Some are actually, 100, 120-year-old barns that have been renovated. Some have been built in the last 12 months to emulate the look of a barn.
Kind of like new baseball stadiums that are built to look like they're 100 years old.
Correct. Bistro lights, those kind of come and go here, mostly outdoors here. Let's see.
He says later in the post, bistro lighting seems to be hurting the uplighting craze. Would you agree with that?
No, not here. Not in the South.
I don't see that either.
Yeah, not in the South. And again,
I think what's hurting the uplighting craze is banquet halls that are installing. Yeah,
correct.
And as I've said on this podcast, I don't blame them. Banquet halls have seen us, and when I say us, the entertainment, bringing in basically decor light. Let's face it, but uplighting is not like intelligent lighting, which is effect lighting. It's decor lighting. It's changing the look of their room. And I don't blame banquet halls for saying, look, if anyone's going to change the look of my room, let it be me, and let me profit.
Make the money.
So
right.
As much as it's taking some dollars out of my pocket, I certainly understand why banquet halls are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The introduction thing with the first names only, that's a little more common, not super common here. I would say more so down here, Mike, it's just bride and groom introduction.
Oh, really? So you're seeing it without even, you're not saying majority, you're just saying, saying you're seeing it from time to time.
Correct. Correct. Just bride and groom. Even if they have a full 4 or 5 people.
I think for the most part, the only time I ever see that is a second wedding. I don't think I can't remember a first wedding where they didn't have a bridal party and they didn't want them introduced. When you meet with your couple, do they sometimes ask you first names or full names? Do they ask you that question?
You mean on that advanced call, that final planning meeting?
Yeah.
No, they rarely ask me. I usually look at what they've already kind of pre-filled out their sheet, and we're kind of, at this point, we're going over it. And if they only do first names, that's what I'm reading. If they put down first and second names, that's when I'm getting out my pencil and writing down the phonetics.
It's funny. I just had 2 November reviews last night. I met with 2 of my November clients, and both of them asked me. They both had first names only filled out.
Yeah.
And, well, I shouldn't even say they asked me. I asked them. And I said, do you only want me to do first names? And one of them was adamant. One of them was like, yeah, well, we just want first names. We want it informal. And the other one was like, well, what do you normally do? And my answer in that scenario is I usually do full names. I, like Mike Fernino, would rather do full names.
Me too.
and it's not, Mike almost makes it seem like it's too easy doing first names, and that's his problem with it.
Mm,
My thing is, it just gives me more space as an MC.
mm,
Sometimes saying first names, especially if they're one syllable, what I
mhm,
mean? Let's hear for Kate and Joe. To me,
mhm,
that's just not enough to wrap my, it's going to sound stupid, but wrap my mouth around and really kind of
mhm.
emphasize. So I
Mhm,
would rather do full names,
mhm,
but I don't really have any other preference other than I just think they sound better.
mhm.
I don't think it lowers the bar of entry to our industry, which is, I think, part of the frustration that Mike Fernino is
Yeah.
expressing in this post. So I don't really
Well,
necessarily have a
that's when I
challenge.
read the post when you sent it to me. I was saying, okay, well, I understand. I don't think it lowers the bar to entry either. I do think it takes a little bit of the pressure and I think it takes a little bit of the pressure off the MC,
No
to
doubt.
not have to do the last
Yeah.
names and to, simplify some of these things. So, but again, I think these things are all going to be based on the couple. And I think that it's based on sometimes class level. I think it's based on what people have seen. I think it's based on the setting that they're in. Um, it's a very, and again, this always goes back to my point of why, people ask, I don't get why you still do this. Why do you still do it? And I'm like, because every Saturday is different.
Right.
Every single, I'll look at right now, I can pull up my 2 planners for Friday and Saturday this weekend, and they couldn't be more different.
Right. Which is exciting as
Yeah.
an entertainer. You're right.
Both in a barn. That's it.
If I had to do the same exact wedding every single
Oh,
weekend or multiple times a weekend, I think I would probably hang it up. So
yeah.
you're right. So let's talk about no cake cutting, no bouquet and
Okay.
garter. Is that something that you're seeing a lot of?
I'm seeing more. Um, there is still always 99% of the time either a cake or a cupcake tower. I'm seeing more. Don't announce it. We're just going to go over there and cut it. You keep the party going. So
Myself
don't
as
stop
well.
the party.
Right.
Yeah, do
Right.
not stop the party. Um, you know, don't play the background. Sugar, sugar, or sugar Maroon 5. Like just keep playing like you were doing. We're going to take the photographer, grab our parents, and go cut the cake.
And if clients ask your opinion about that, and again, I get that sometimes in the review, do you
Mm.
direct them? Do you encourage them to do it? Do you encourage them to not do it? Do you tell them to just follow your heart? What's your normal advice if
I
they say, hey, we're kind of on the fence about the cake cutting, we really don't know?
I think my advice is to do it at the right time. So I always say, the cake is part of the meal. It's the dessert. Unless you're going to do some other dessert I don't know about, let's put it right there at the end of dinner before we go into
Right.
heavy dancing, heavy
Right.
open dance floor. Like dinner, let's knock the cake out if there's any toast, and then boom, let's go.
I think my answer is similar because in our market, the cake usually happens with about an hour left in the night. So,
Oh
and
wow,
that can be prime dancing time. And so
sure.
I say to them, well, what's your emphasis on dancing? And if they say,
Mm,
look, we want it to be a great party, we want it to be nonstop, then I say,
yeah,
skip the cake. Then if
yeah,
if you're on the fence about the cake anyway, and you want focus on party, 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 then just skip it. Do the photographer thing off to the side, like you were just saying, but don't interrupt the flow of the night.
hmm
But I got to be honest with you, there's times as an MC where I'm struggling with a dance
hmm
floor, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago on this podcast, where cake cutting is a great, it's a good relief to have because you've been begging these people to dance for a while, and now you can take a little break. So
yeah,
sometimes I miss not doing a cake. Sometimes I wish we weren't doing cake.
same,
If the party is just packed, I'm like, I can't believe
yeah,
we have to interrupt this. There are times when I beg my maitre d', he comes up, you want to do cake, and I'm like, can I get 10 more minutes? Like I
yeah,
got dance floor peaked. I want to just finish this, energy.
set, yeah, me too.
So yeah, but I really, to me, I don't think it diminishes the party, nor do I think doing it makes a difference. I mean, I just think it's one of those traditions that people have seen a bazillion times,
Yeah,
and it can feel overdone and cheesy sometimes. So
yeah.
who cares if
It's
it's
even hard to get people to go over there sometimes. You know what I mean? Like especially if it's not here beside you. It's not at a focal point. Let's say it's at the far left or the far
right,
right. It's like
right,
cake cutting. Hey
right,
guys, cake cutting. Like you know what I mean? Like get your ass over there. They don't want to be standing there by themselves, kind of thing.
And you know, I've made this point again before. I often try to put myself in, like, what if I were one of the guests? Like, I was doing a wedding Friday night, and it was a gorgeous night here in New Jersey. And the location had an outdoor kind of veranda where people can sit. And, you know, there was about a half hour left in the night, and I had a good packed dance floor, but I looked outside and there were a lot of people sitting outside. And I said to my assistant, I can't blame those people. It's a gorgeous night. If Kelly and I were a guest at this wedding, we probably would have danced a bunch, but we would be sitting outside. And I also think, like, when I'm at a guest at a wedding and they go, hey, cake cutting's over there in that corner of the room, who cares?
I don't care.
And maybe just because I've seen a million of them, but I don't see Kelly running over and go, oh, let's see the bride. It's just not that important. So
I don't even like cake anymore.
Yeah, I mean, think about when I first started DJing, we still used to sing remember the Bride Cuts the Cake song? Like, every once in a while. Now, nobody ever does that.
No.
And nor does anybody miss it. So if the actual cake cutting itself goes the way of the Bride Cuts the Cake song, I don't care. It doesn't really change things for me.
No, it doesn't change the dynamic of the party at all.
Yeah.
What was the last point on there? There was one
What
other.
about the distractions, we'll call them, cornhole games outside?
Boy.
I had a cigar roller on Friday night. And I make this point in the seminar I did, why people dance. Some DJs look at photo booths as the same thing. Photo booths are definitely taking people off your dance floor. As I make the point, who cares? It's only for a couple seconds. If they really want to dance, they'll come back. But do you see these things as entertainment enhancements, or do you see these things as distractions that you wish?
It goes back to the previous point you made, Mike, about the outdoor thing. If there is an outdoor space and it is a day like today, which is 70 something instead of 97, which it was 3 days ago, it is very possible that you are going to lose a lot of your guests to that, let's just call it a yard or a courtyard or whatever. And then it's even more so exacerbated by the oversized Jenga.
Ooh, exacerbated. Good one.
Thank you. Oversized Jenga, cornhole, whatever that rope tossing game. These are all like new millennial games that was not around when I was a tailgater.
Right.
But the bottom line is, Mike, I mean, they're definitely distractions. I will say this, for the photo booth, I don't put it in the same category because I'm very specific when we either do the sales call, the sales meeting a year ago, or the advance call to let me help you place the photo booth. In other words, let's just say there's a pre-function area and a ballroom. I know that it seems like you wanted the pre-function area to have more room in this ballroom, but please just let us put it in the corner, like right by the dance floor. You know, and I'll even, I've handed out frequently asked question sheets, and that'll be on it.
And I think that's that's a win-win, because you'd rather it in the room because people are staying in the room.
Correct.
But I also think it's better for the bride because more people are going to use the photo booth if it's in the same room. If it's outside the room, it's not a visual anymore. People aren't thinking about it. So unless the MC is constantly reminding people, then you're going to get less pictures. So I don't think that's just a selfish reason to keep it in the room. I think there's a win-win reason there too. So I would agree with that.
Yeah. What else was there?
So our boy David Sporn weighed in on this post, and I thought he had a great, he said, "I swear no one listened to me at ARM in Gatlinburg," which he's wrong about. I think he had a great impact at that convention. I think he's helping to change the vibe in this industry. He's not the only one, but he's certainly helping. And as he points out, the garter toss is archaic. And again, I agree with that. I mean, even if you want to cut the cake and throw the bouquet, my suggestion to most brides is at that point, leave it there.
That's what happened this past Saturday.
Once the groom starts taking the garter off, and then the most cringeworthy thing is the garter being put back on by the guy. So you've got, you've got two, right. I haven't done it in so long. I had a wedding Sunday night that wanted to do that, but the girl who caught the bouquet was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I don't know what parent sends a 12-year-old out to the dance floor to catch. What's supposed to happen after that. Go ahead, honey, go.
Right.
So I said and I didn't know that. I said to the bride, I mean, obviously I knew she was young, but I don't know how old she was. I said to the bride, "Is she of age?" And she goes, "No, she's 12. And I said, you don't still want to do the, and she goes, no, let's stop with the garter toss. So I had to clear it with the bride. But yeah, I mean, those things are, yeah, I mean, David writes, garter placement is a sexual harassment lawsuit waiting to happen. Yeah, and it kind of is. I mean, and if that's an exaggeration, I think David's using humor there. It's at least cringeworthy in most cases.
It is.
Or in a lot of cases. You get these two strangers, and nowadays with the Me Too movement, think about, okay, so I want you to, you know, get your hands as far up her skirt as she will let you. It's kind of outdated when you think about it. Bouquet toss is also a waste of time. Does anyone have a clue all the things that you can do with an old bouquet? Yeah, I mean, I agree with David. I mean, like I said, the only thing I disagree with him is that no one listened. David, if you really think that, you're wrong. You made I think you had a huge impact with his seminar, and I wish he would offer it more often. So I guess the last thing we talk about with this is how have these changes changed your marketing? How have they changed your approach to selling to clients, to, like we talked about that month before meeting? Have they at all?
Not really, Mike, because listen, man, these people that come to us, you know what I mean? Especially if they're in that, let's say 25 to 35-year-old range, have been to, you know, 1 to 10 weddings that year, probably. You know, if they're in that range of like, all my friends are getting married, they've seen at least a wedding, you know what I mean? They know what they do and don't want, which hopefully led them here. You know, they saw a bad DJ, let's go get, you know, let's go with what we think is the best. Let's avoid that. They've seen, you know, the uplighting, they've seen the bistro lights. They, you know, either did or didn't see the bouquet and garter. I think that I just let them steer it. You know what I mean? I'm not a so staunch that I'm going to be like, listen, this is the way that we did it when I started this 20 years ago, and this is the way it's got to be done. Like, things changed. I mean, would you still be carrying around crates of records, Mike?
Well, of course not. But that's the technology.
I know the technology, but it all changes, man. Like everything changes. Cars changed. I mean, I know that's technology, but our gear has changed. The show changes. Like it's just, you know. I mean, again, and I think that it all depends on market. I think it depends on what people have seen. I've never been asked once in 20 some years to do a love story or to read any more than a blurb, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so met at ECU. Here they are, Mike and Carol, you know. And
which is a market thing, but it's also a style thing. That's just not, it's not your approach. It's not my approach. My bridal party introductions are way more high energy.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, if anything, I might throw in, if the bride wants me to, you know, she was a college roommate of our bride, let's welcome, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's pretty much it. I will answer that, yes, these changes have changed the way we market our DJs. And the main change is I've seen the difference nowadays between a decade ago. The emphasis was much more on emceeing and interaction. And now it's much more on the music that we play and the mixing ability. And so our marketing has matched that. I mean, years ago when I made a demo video of our DJ, I was looking for as many shots as possible of him on the dance floor, of him leading the crowd, of him leading dances and him interacting. Nowadays, when I make a video and I make a demo, I'm listening for a really good beat mix. And when I hear it, I put that in the demo. Matter of fact, I've instructed our videography company, please record through the mix. Cause sometimes it'll be halfway through a mix and they'll, like, you know, turn the camera off and move position. And I'll tell them, and especially because a lot of our videographers are also DJs, so they understand what I'm talking about. I'll say to them, please keep the shot going through the mix because I want to use that in my demo. If somebody's, and I will even put that in the demo, will add text. You know, if I'm making a video, let's say Dan Famosa, who we started the show with, and he's got a great beat mix, I'll not only put that whole shot in his demo, but I'll put the text on the bottom, Dan Famosa in the mix, so that the client can then listen to, oh yeah, this guy can mix. Because that's a question we get now. And I can honestly say 15 years ago, no client ever asked us, hey, we're interested in booking Dominic Sestito. Can we hear him mix? So not only have our demo videos changed, but I encourage my staff to maintain SoundCloud or Mixcloud pages where they put up, you know, mixes of them sets
doing
of
their
them
thing.
mixing
Yeah,
music, because
absolutely.
and that is, to me, it's a change in the emphasis that clients have, and I don't have a problem with it. I think some old school DJs might, but I don't. I mean, if that, to me, it's all part of the art of DJing. And so if
Hmm.
that's what clients nowadays are going to, want to hear before they book, I'm all about it.
I mean,
You know,
these kids, and I call them kids, they grew up in the age of internet radio. Turn on Friday or Saturday night, every single station on XM has a live DJ playing.
right,
That's what they've heard. They've been to nightclubs in Las Vegas. They've heard, they came up in this era of a mixing DJ. It's
right,
not just channel fade in, next song up, play the whole song, next song up. Like,
right.
that's not what they're used to. Their attention spans are short, and they know what mixing is.
Yeah.
Even with my son, like, and getting him into DJing, I'm just like, man, you got to get better. I can't book you. These kids are going to eat you alive,
Right.
because he's 14. I mean, they eat me alive, and I'm good. Like, I'm like, Colin, you got to get better.
Well, and this is why when I bring the topic of beat mixing up online, I'm
Yeah.
shocked sometimes at the pushback. And it's usually
Oh, I know.
usually the old guard,
Old guard, right?
guys who grew up not having to beat mix at all. Their skills were all about their emceeing, and so they still see the world through that paradigm. And I'm like, guys, you got to change. And with the technology nowadays, it's easier than ever. I'm not even talking about the sync button, but I'm just talking
Sure.
about, these software programs. If you just focus on your skills a little bit, you can become an average beat mixer in no time. Now, I'm not
Sure.
talking about being somebody like a Janai or a David Sporn or somebody like
Mm-hmm.
incredibly good. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
take hours and hours and hours of practice.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you could get to mediocre level in no time if you just thought about it and focused on it. So when I see people go, oh, it's my clients don't ask for it, it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
you're missing out, because a lot of millennial clients do want that. So I'll admit my marketing and my approach to showing and selling my DJs has changed, as I think it should. And if 10 years from now we drift back into interaction is more
Mm-hmm.
important, if
Mm-hmm.
everything as I think it will be is cyclical,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll see me producing a lot more demo videos of me leading the wobble and me leading the Cupid shuffle and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I've just de-emphasized that nowadays.
Wow, that's surprising, man. I mean, I figured that, but it's surprising to hear you say it. I mean, I mean, you built a company on interactivity and being out there, and it's just
Yeah,
different,
I also firmly believe there's a great saying in business, that you can't change the wind, but you can direct your sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of it. I mean, I understand that this is the way clients are moving nowadays. So if I were going to be stubborn and say I don't care, this is our
Yeah, yeah.
thing, I think we'd be losing market share.
Great, great. Want to wrap it up there, Mike? It's a
I
good
think it
episode.
sounds good, Joe.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Appreciate you
Shout
tuning in.
out. Yeah, thank you guys. Shout out to DJ Event Planner as our sponsor, and we will be back soon.
That's it.
Later.